I've lived in Paris for almost 8 years now. That's the longest I've lived anywhere my entire adult life. I actually did the math recently, and I have spent over 1/3 of my life overseas, which is nuts. People often ask, will I live here forever? What's it like to visit? And would you ever move back? Start with, will I live in Paris forever? Which is actually something that comes up for me every time. I mean, I travel in general, because there's so much of the world that I want to see, so many places that I think would be fun to live. But then when I come back to the States in particular, I wonder, like, could I come back here? And that opens up the door to ask the question of, like, well, you know, where is my life? Where is it heading? And is it married to Paris? I am currently in San Diego to visit my family.
This is a very heavy phone.
But I won't be staying here entirely. We'll get to that here in a second. Something about being on the sand in shoes that just doesn't feel right. Will I live in Paris for the rest of my life, I think, is a question that I get probably once a week. At the end of the day, I can't answer that because life is crazy and who knows where we end up. I will say that it's pretty nuts that I've been there for almost 8 years. I've lived in a handful of different countries now, on a few continents. Being in Paris, just having something stable and building something stable has been a very new experience for me, and one that I really, really value. And there's a part of me that does feel like something about my life needs to change, but whether that's location, I'm not so sure. And one of the things that I've really come to value and appreciate from my time in Paris is the idea of having a place that you do belong, where you have a sense of community, where you're kind of like a known entity. In the past, I've never really had that to like the fullest of extent, and there have been times where I just figured I could start over again. And that was fair because I was only in a given place for a certain amount of time, or I was in a really transient community and everyone was always coming and going as time went on. And so being as invested into Paris as I am is also a new experience for me. Like, I've never created a foundation for myself like I have there. So leaving it would come at a really high cost. It doesn't mean that I'm not open to it, and there's been a lot of speculation that I've seen in the comments and elsewhere that as soon as I get my passport, my French citizenship, I'm gonna be out of there as fast as I can be, and that's definitely not the case. My life is tied to Paris for a very long time from now, I'm sure. I would be really surprised if I left anytime soon. But there is a part of me that always wanted to live in other parts of Europe, that wanted to learn more languages, that wants to take advantage of the fact that I have EU citizenship now. Like, I have the right to live in Italy or in the Netherlands or wherever within the EU if I should so choose. And because I do want to learn more languages and because I do want to have more experiences and see more of the world, it seems like it would be a huge missed opportunity if I didn't go for it at some point. But am I leaving anytime soon? Absolutely not. And will my life always be tied to Paris in some way? I imagine so. I just gotta get out of here without getting any sand in my shoes. Traveling, of course, brings all sorts of unnecessary complications, like the sheer volume of spam that hits my phone the instant that I land in the United States. They just know. And the text messages that you guys have to deal with in this country are insane, let alone like my French bank and the app and how it gives me so much trouble just as soon as it knows I've left France, I've left Europe. Thankfully, there's a solution for this. Like, I don't want my bank or advertisers, for that matter, to know that I'm in a casino, because I don't know what segments that's gonna put me in, what kind of weird ads I'm gonna get, or how it might hike up prices for other things along the line. So I just open up NordVPN here and give it a little, and now I'm golfing. Even better, now I'm on the beach, and they're none the wiser. So if my bank is giving me a hard time or I have any other geolocation problems, it's one of the fastest ways to solve them. And one of the best things that you can do if you're traveling, if you're looking at airfare or hotels, is use your VPN to bounce around a little bit and see, like, are they giving you a better deal if you happen to want to pay in rupees? Or maybe you want to pre-travel to another country just to make sure you're not getting the hyper expensive, like, American rate before you go to a place. And then, of course, obviously, if you're trying to keep up on the series that you're watching while you're traveling, you want to log into your Netflix account, or you just want to see what else is on offer around the world for content, that's also a really good way to make sure that you don't get to somewhere you're going and not be able to watch the season finale to whatever show it is you happen to be watching. Anyways, use my link below or the code Jay Swanson at checkout to get an exclusive discount. And then you can be sure that even if you're traveling, you can make it look like you're somewhere that you're not. One, so that you don't end up getting a bunch of weird ads and who knows what else, but also so you can have some nice savings when you're traveling. And pretty quickly, that VPN will pay for itself. In the meantime, beach, casinos, wait, where am I? Time, right? Not opens. Where are you taking me? No, I think we gotta take this. Okay, so
fly.
We're gonna die. Hey, good work. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed that there's not a coin-operated like bed vibration thing going on here. I've never been to Vegas before, believe it or not. Like, I've traveled much of the United States. I've never been here. The reason that I'm here is because I'm surprising my buddy Eric for his 40th birthday. Happy birthday! Hello. His wife asked me if I would swing by. It just happened to work out really well timing-wise with family plans. And so I got a cheap ticket on Spirit Airlines. It cost me like 30 bucks, I think, to fly here. And then this hotel is costing me, with taxes and everything, $65, I think. And I think I'm getting what I'm paying for, and that's fine. I'm okay with that, as long as I don't get murdered. This is kind of awesome, to be honest. Anyway, Eric's one of my oldest friends. Like, I've known him ever since middle school. Eric is like this really, really intelligent human being who's a very talented musician. He's a nurse practitioner, a really smart, funny, caring human being who I unfortunately don't get to see often enough. And this is one of the sacrifices or the issues with living abroad. The majority of people kind of just think you're dead as soon as you move overseas. They're just like, oh, they left, and like, because you left the country, the continent, in their brains, you might as well have left the planet Earth entirely and just be basically unreachable. I think there's an initial gap there, and often people aren't able to fully connect with that experience. Like, they don't know necessarily how to relate to it, so they might let it go because of that as well, which I understand because it can be difficult. So there are relationships you naturally lose when you move abroad. I experienced that a long time ago, long before I ever moved back and permanently to Paris. But now I have the same thing. Like, what if I were to leave? Paris is a place that I've actually built my own home for the very first time as an adult. It's a safe space with a community, with a lot of people that really care about me, that know me. Leaving that would be a massive sacrifice. So where I may not know if I'm gonna live in Paris forever, I do know that leaving it will come at a pretty high cost at this point. A much higher cost than this hotel, am I right? Up to some guy threatening to kill somebody, so maybe it's time to talk about what it's like to visit America. So then what is it like to visit when you've lived outside the States for a long time? Well, some of the obvious stuff really does stand out. For example, everything is bigger. Like, even just getting out of my hotel requires crossing through 2 buildings here, across a street, a parking lot, a garage, and then like a lobby and a casino and another hotel, just to get to the street. Obviously, portion sizes are something completely different. This is a coffee shop. Look at all this space. There are free refills, which is something that I really miss. You have to drive everywhere. I mean, the driving part of it is one of the biggest turnoffs, I think, to the idea of living here. I miss the walkability of Paris and public transportation being so consistent, although the bus in Las Vegas wasn't too bad. I mean, it does exist here, not quite the same. But one of the things that has stood out to me more than anything on this trip is just how gosh darn friendly Americans really are. I know that there's a lot of tension right now. I know that people are really freaking out for a lot of reasons, but I will say, as somebody who's not steeped in the news, I make very intentional choices about what I consume when it comes to the news and current events. Stepping off of a plane, or even getting on a plane with a bunch of Americans, and then traveling into a couple of different states already on this trip, and talking to so many different people, just randomly, because Americans love to chat, I don't feel like that tension that you do see on social media and the news. Like, people just seem really nice. And I know not every American is nice, but the baseline is just so welcoming. And it's something that I really miss, especially living in Paris, where people don't talk to each other. And when they do, usually not with something nice to say. And it's really, really stood out to me as a contrast to my time in Paris. And I just thought it'd be nice to share that, because I know that for a lot of people, things right now, kind of stressful. But I think Americans are all right. Perfect day. Perfect day. So then, I guess the question is, would I move back here? To be fair, I've never lived in California proper. I have spent a summer here before. I do like it. I do like California. But holy cow, is it chaotic in its own way. Thanks to my dad for making it possible for me to come on this trip. He fully sponsored this so I could come see my family, which is great. And thanks to my Patron producer, Will Nelson, for supporting me in the very real way of supporting my channel, as all my patrons do. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. And the future is a whole lot brighter with you in it. I think there are a lot of things that the US has. I mean, there are a lot of things the US has that France does not have, especially in the realms of opportunity and attitude. Just the fact that people here, not everybody obviously, but the American attitude generally tends to be one of like a solution-oriented one, where you have a problem and people are like, we can figure that out, we can solve that. Whereas the French tend to be a little bit more, bah, c'est impossible. Like they're just gonna like say, no, we can't really solve this problem for you. Good luck. That grates on you over time. So I think the idea of being here, like as a business owner, and for the opportunity and for the future that you could build, does sound more appealing. But then you have things like, I don't know, healthcare, or the possibility of just violence on the regular, that does make it a little bit less appealing, because one of the nice things about living in France is that I know that if I ever get cancer, I'm not going bankrupt, and I also know that odds are very, very, very low that any loud bang in the background is anything more than a car backfiring. Those are things that keep the stress levels a lot lower as well. So it's kind of that balance between lifestyle and possibility. There's a lot of give and take between the two, and I guess in a lot of ways, like I do see my near future being tied to France, but I do see the possibility of coming back to America for who knows what in the future. So I'm open to it. Am I doing it anytime soon? Am I planning on doing it anytime soon? No. And of course, family, and the possibility that your sister might take pity on you for losing your Washington State University hat and then replace it for you, just in time to go to a football game tomorrow night. Great timing. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the pool. We're gonna have lunch.